love, life, and lunatics. The pretty lies, the ugly truth I'm sick with. Love, life, and lunatics. So crazy but can't get enough of it.
Welcome to Love, Life, and Lunatics, a podcast where I share personal stories about my life, my loves, and some crazy situations that I unfortunately got myself into. Sometimes I'll have a guest who will also share a story or two about a time that changed their life or had a hand in making them who they are today. So, hang out with me for a little while and enjoy Love, Life, and Lunatics. Well, hello. I hope everybody's doing great today. I'm doing good today. I'll say this. I have had a week of ups and downs. Overall, it's been good, but you know how you really want something and then you gotta wait? I want something so bad right now and I'm having to wait. I should be panicking, but I'm not. I am very strangely calm and hopeful. So, on the other hand, this week I've had no's turned into yeses. And it's so amazing. Like, I'm feeling so excited. And I have very little to do with these yeses. When I first brought up the subject of doing X, Y, and Z, I got a no. And I said, okay, and I moved on with my life and kept going. And then out of the blue, I get a phone call and this person says yes. And this is a very important life-changing event in my life and the life of my daughter. And so I can't tell you how blessed I feel right now. I've been fighting for some years, you guys. I've been fighting for some years. And so to have someone say, we all love you. You're not by yourself. And we're all going to fight for you too. I don't know. Overall, it's been a good week. So, didn't mean to kick off the episode like that. Oh my gosh, where did that come from? I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. But this is life. This is some life stuff. And one day I'll tell you all about it. Anyway, this episode is called The Beautiful Housewife. I had just got off work and picked up my daughter Gianna from the babysitter, whom Gianna loved but thoroughly wore out. She hadn't taken a nap, so I knew I was in for a doozy. I had promised a friend that I would meet up with her for a late lunch. She just wanted to talk. I was tired, but I wanted to be a good friend. We went to Bob's Big Boy, a well-known diner in Toluca Lake, California. Naturally, there was a bit of a wait for a table. I was prepared for Gianna. I had 2 brand new activity books for her that she had never seen before with mess-free markers. I also had 2 of her favorite toys that I would pull out if she really started getting shifty. Best mom. Me. After I situated Gianna, I glanced around the restaurant. I saw this beautiful little girl sitting at a table. She looked about 3 or 4 years old. She wasn't eating. She was just looking around the restaurant. She looked familiar. I was wondering where I saw this little girl. I looked past her and saw a quiet woman focused on her own food. She was also very beautiful, and I recognized her immediately. She was a housewife from Bravo's Real Housewives franchise. To be honest, she really wasn't one of my favorite housewives. She seemed obnoxious to me on the show. But from the show, I knew that she was going through a lot in her personal life, similar to my experience. She had gone through a messy divorce, and her ex-husband was using their daughter to control her. In that area, I completely related to her. After a few minutes, while we were still waiting to be seated, the little girl and the housewife made their way outside. The little girl walked up to my daughter, and they both began to color in Gianna's activity book, then played with her toys, laughing and being cute little girls. They were in their own world and became instant best friends. I loved that moment. I was smiling from ear to ear and looked over to the housewife. Her face was stoic. She stood there and let her daughter enjoy the moment. The girls continued to play. I smiled at the housewife. She glanced at me and gave me a mechanical smile that didn't reach her eyes. I knew that she didn't want to speak, and so I didn't try to talk to her. Finally, she stuck her hand out to her daughter. Her daughter walked over to her mom, keeping her eyes on Gianna. The two girls grabbed each other's hands. Then, the little girl hugged Gianna. I wanted to take a photo of the cuteness, but I didn't think the housewife wanted her daughter to be photographed, so I refrained. The housewife gently tugged at her daughter's hand. The girl released Gianna, and they continued to hold hands until the housewife and her daughter walked away. She and Gianna waved at each other until the little girl and her mom walked around the corner. When Gianna couldn't see the little girl anymore, she went back to her coloring book. What I noticed in that situation was two women with small daughters who are and have been in similar changes in family dynamic. The difference is, the housewife is a public figure and everyone knows the details of her marriage and divorce. I'm not in that position. I saw the innocence and joy of two children who wanted to be happy kids, even if it was only for a few minutes. I also saw two women with extremely different personalities. One was happy that her daughter found a sweet little girl to play with and enjoyed the pure joy of seeing children ecstatically play, while the other woman was completely disengaged and distant, but momentarily tolerant to the entire situation. Her daughter seemed to be used to her mother's behavior. I'm not judging the housewife. Her life is probably not an easy life. I was just observing our very different reactions to the situation. I'm glad I chose to engage in Gianna meeting another child who was so very sweet to her. I'm glad I was present and in the moment. I'm quite sure the housewife will not remember that encounter, which is absolutely fine. She may have had other things on her mind. I can say I have a little more compassion for the housewife than I did before. Even though she was a bit cold, I had a chance to see her for who she really was, not a personality she portrays on a reality show. I truly wish her and her gorgeous daughter nothing but love and blessings. We're all just trying to live our lives fabulously, like Gone with the Wind fabulous. The Beautiful Housewife. This story is super short, but it really stuck in my mind. I related to this woman because she entered a marriage with a man and thought that she was going to be married to this man and they were going to have a family together and they were going to live life together. She did not enter the marriage thinking she was going to be a single mom or a baby mama, right? That's not what she wanted. And I saw her story play out on TV. And this is before I even had that same story. You know, I waited decades to get married and it just quickly turned out to be a mistake. And I turned into a single mom. I love my daughter. I have no issues with single mothers. Those are some of the strongest women built forward tough as single mothers. But it is a challenging place to be in. I think also, you know, when you're in the midst of drama and things like that and your little kid is right there. And at the time, Gianna was 3. She's 4 now, but at the time of the story, she was 3. And seeing her little face light up to see another little girl. And it really did come from the other little girl because Gianna really will just do her own thing, even in a room full of kids. She doesn't necessarily feel obligated to go play with other little kids. And that's too bad because I really, I wish she had siblings like how I have siblings. But anyway, this little girl came right up to her and was so happy and so nice. And Gianna was so receptive and gave all of that sweetness right back to her. It brightened up my day. I was so in love with that moment. Also, I had seen that little girl on television when she was very, very young. And I said, this is way before I had Gianna, I said, she is one of the prettiest little girls I've ever seen. Always said that. So when I saw her, I was like, she's so cute. She's just reminds me of somebody. And then I was like, oh, that's the pretty little girl. So when Gianna and her got along, it was just like, oh, I love the moment. Because I was taking that selfishness, like, oh my gosh, look at these little girls. Don't you think it's so cute that they love each other? When the housewife didn't give any of that at all. Like, she was very much, she just stood there. And it's not that she was bad for doing it. I just felt like, what would happen if you were in this moment right now with your daughter? And I'm in this moment right now with my daughter. And for this 2 minutes, we're all super happy. And this can be a beautiful memory for everyone. I think that's what I was trying to will on her. Like, whatever you're thinking about, just let it go for 2 seconds and enjoy your daughter's laughter and them holding each other's hands and playing. It felt like they were there for an hour, but they were really only maybe 5 minutes. It was not long at all. But in the eyes of both of the little girls, they didn't know each other's names. They didn't know anything. They just knew they liked each other and they were going to draw and they were going to play and giggle and laugh and just be little girls. Kind of reminded me of myself and my sisters. I was never just outgoing when I was a little kid to little kids that just came up to me and started talking. Never. Tyron is like that. And Jamie's not like that either. I was always very weary of everyone. And I was only that way with my sisters, very open, wanting to play. At that age, they both seemed to be under 5 years old. I know Gianna was 3. I'm not sure how old the other little girl was. But it was just such a pure moment, and I couldn't change her vibe. I wish that she was more in that moment. But I guess for myself, I said, well, she just might be having a bad day, whatever. Everybody has bad days. I think for me, it just showed me that you can be either way, Jania. You can choose to be quiet or you can choose to be engaged. And that's it. Neither decision is a bad one, but it just kind of made me look at life a little differently and look at being a mom a little differently too. Now, she is someone that people know. And I come from a family where there's recognizable people in my family, and Tyron and Jamie handled those things quite differently. Tyron was always super open. Jamie was a lot more reserved when people would approach. So I can understand both of those things. And when that happened with me, sometimes I would be super open and other times I'd just go lock myself in my room. This is when I was on tour traveling, when I was on the cruise ship. People would go bananas with seeing me after the first night of the show. They would just go crazy if they saw me walking up and down the halls, or if they saw me in a restaurant or something. They would just lose their mind and it would be overwhelming. And sometimes I just wanted to eat and go to the gym. So sometimes if I wasn't with it, I would just go into my room and watch Lock Up or American Greed or whatever. So I get it. I guess this story is just a hopeful reminder to stay in the moment and try to be happy, because your body, you extend your life choosing joy. That's what I'll say about that. Thank you for listening to Love, Life, and Lunatics. Please share your thoughts about this podcast. And if you liked it, please like and share. I'd really appreciate it. Please check out my show notes in the description box for more information. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, see ya.
Love, life, and lunatics. Baby, things ain't always gonna be so bad. We can make it through the hard times. Believe me. Life and